Ah, yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live, and it's not jive. This is lesson 12 of trimester number 2 in 2025. Geez, it's a lot to remember. In fact, so much has happened this trimester, I can't even believe it. Thanks for being with us. It's been 12 lessons, everybody, all around the world. We stream every single Wednesday here at 4 p.m. for me. There's a swath of amazing, mostly Brazilian musicians actually, that are streaming also on NGO Radio Terra's free platform for all levels and all ages. I am dialing into you from the studio in North Carolina, right here in the US, making it happen. Excited about our final lesson, and I'm not excited that it's our final lesson, but I'm excited to be here doing a lesson with you nonetheless. Nonetheless, no pun intended. We're gonna get right into it. We're talking about textures today. We're talking about the brushes and the mallets and the sticks. We're talking about the brush strokes. I'm gonna walk you guys through some of my favorite brush books. Okay, that's the Philly Joe Jones brush book. It's very valuable and often sought after. This is the Ed Thigpen book. It's called The Sound of Brushes, and it comes with a really cool lo-fi brush cassette tape. Perfect for sampling in your hip-hop records. And we'll get to that stuff in a second. Big shout out to our sponsors this trimester and every trimester, really since we started. Big shout out to Proel Corporation, Roland Corporation, Tamboro Drums, Icon Microphones, Sunhouse Electronic Sensory Percussion, made by Evans, and who else am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Well, yeah. Anyways, Tamboro Drums, Roland Corporation, and Sunhouse Icon Microphones and Proel, they get me through. Thanks everybody for your support. And thanks NGO Radio Terra. I'm just going to do like I do every lesson and just kind of start playing because I think that that's where I get my inspiration from, and then I get to kind of use these improvisations as jumping boards into the conversation. So, all right, let me break down some of what I just played for you in that improvisation, which I tried to sort of direct in a way that could loop us back into the conversation at hand today, which is the Philly Joe Jones brush book. Let's get into it. This is my favorite brush book. If you can find a copy of it, a Xerox copy of it. In this case, I have a Xerox copy. You can see it. You can believe it. I have it. The Philly Joe Jones brush book. This is the conventional stroke. So we're going clockwise in the left hand. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So I like to think of it like this. Whichever direction you would snap your fingers across your body, in my case, I'm snapping to the outside, from the inside to the out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, going clockwise with the left hand, pretty much hitting the 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock area on 1 to 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock. 2, 3, 4 in the right hand. 2, 3, 4. Right hand. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the beautiful thing about this kind of sweeping technique that I'm doing here in the left hand is that it kind of sounds like vinyl fuzz, vinyl hiss. I like that. Ambiance, vibes, retro sound for sure, classic, timeless, nice texture. In the right hand, we're going to keep time. And I'm going to go in the same direction that I was snapping my fingers on 2 and 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And only this time I'm going to sort of demonstrate that by going diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Crossing over my left hand in a way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then doing my little dotted quarter, triplet, however you want to look at what I'm doing in the right hand. 1, 2, and 3, 4, or 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, right? Definitely pronouncing the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Also in the left hand, I'm also choosing to maybe be, I'd say, loose with the time. Not necessarily coming to 12 o'clock every single measure or every single half note. Marking the time with my right hand though. 1 triplet, 3 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 3 triplet, blah 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 blah. This is good for a lot of different tempos. Um, ballads. Conventional stroke. Really, really useful. So, smooth one. Now this one sort of rides the outer rim, or the northern side, away from you, that side of the drum, while your left hand makes a circle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's best for ballads, obviously. This one, my left hand is keeping time much more solidly. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Trying to come back to the same place every time. And what I just did kind of led me into the next one that I want to do, which is a super easy one. I also want to look at the diagram because it's really cool looking. Hello, I'm in the middle of a stream. Welcome everybody. This is my friend and roommate coming in. This is called eyes. This is 2 circles running into each other. You can run them counterclockwise or clockwise. I think the key to this one is sort of making a larger circle in a smaller circle so that you don't run into your own hands. Let's go back in the book a little bit. There's a couple of other cool strokes that I want to cover. Here's palm up. We'll do palm up and then we'll do trill and then I'll move on. Palm up is a good one. This has got a shuffly tendency, so that this is good for medium tempos. And the key in this one is that you get that nice triplet shuffle eighth note by sweeping around like we did in the sweep, but turning your hand over and just the sort of ergonomics of and the shape of the brush with your hand turning upside down like that creates that effect. Almost as if you were going. You hear that? Right? I've got to manicure my brushes because sometimes what happens with the brushes is that when you shove them into your stick bag, some of these bristles get a little bit bent and then they can get caught in the corners and the creases of this rim. So palm up. All right, I want to do one more here. This is called trill, and this is good for up tempos, for fast eighth notes. Instead of and then in the right hand, just the conventional stroke. Snapping away from my body. 1. 1, 2, P4, 1, 2, P4, 1, 2, P4, 1, 2, P4, right? So you can get tired. So this is one of those you got to practice, you know. Because right now I even feel it right in here. I haven't practiced this stroke in a minute. So you can go faster though. Like I'm gonna go faster, but I will out here. Now I'll switch to the conventional. Now that it gets a little fast for the hand. So I like that one a lot. Let's talk a little bit about mallets. Mallets provide a nice, soft, pulsing, sometimes tribal texture. Where's the other mallet? And you can really get an Elvin Jones vibe. You can get an Alice Coltrane vibe. You can also use this for pocket and rock and roll and groove purposes. Notice how warm and muffled everything sounds. A bit about the mallet technique is that I'm tilting the snare pretty drastically so that I can get just the perfect amount of ringy, open, snareless drum sound, right? Combined with the rim, creating a rim shot, right? It's a combination of two sounds put together. But it's a very delicate way of approaching it. You know, it's not... right? It's certainly not that. It's not even with the stick, like you would play a pocket groove, you know. But I wouldn't even tilt it that much because I know that I would miss the snare in that type of a scenario. But here, so back to the snare off thing. going to the soft side of the mallet. It's kind of the combination I'm getting. I pick up the brush. I use both sides of the brush. I demonstrated in the first solo the brush side hitting the cymbal versus the shoulder hitting the cymbal versus the butt of the brush hitting the cymbal, right? And so I kind of do this thing created by Vernil Fournier, popularized on the Ahmad Jamal recording, which was put out in 1959, called Live at the Pershing. And it's one of those records where it's like I know all the metadata to that album because it's so famous, because it serves as the backbone to much of our vocabulary as drummers, and especially because it's rooted in New Orleans drumming, which is ultimately one of the founding folk traditions and cultures that birthed the swing and blues and Black American cultural aspect of the jazz tradition, right? Because the jazz tradition also involves these European contributions in harmony and melody and classical technique, and some would argue rhythm as well. But we know that that's the contribution from Africa in its initial form, right? But I digress. Here we are, New Orleans drumming, 1959. The drummer is Vernil Fournier, and you are playing the song Poinciana. I think true to history, I think it's actually played with the left hand. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that though. Yeah, no, I know I'm going to get the groove backwards, but that's something for me to practice. Anyways, I'm going to flip it back around. I believe that Vernil, just from a logistical and positioning standpoint on the drum set, felt that it was easier to play that upbeat pattern in the left hand, but for me it's not. So the pattern is for those of you who don't know, second line, there's many different ways to play it, but go back to the Poinciana exact. On that groove, there's two variations. This initial intro groove, which they play for the main A section. That hitting the floor tom is really important. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Because it's the leftover rhythm from the old days of the Caribbean, right? It's the. When I say leftover, I don't mean spoiled or expired, but I mean it's the original rhythm is what I mean. Right? So it was kept in there and then left inside of the second line marching grooves, right? Second line being the second line of musicians playing behind the deceased in a funeral procession. Right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can get different textures on the drum set. Obviously, you can take that into a lot of different directions. Don't forget, you can just play endless grooves with this. Simulate that shaker. lot of different ways that you can get not just the normal. Nothing wrong with that. We've discussed a lot of different ways this trimester of getting cool sounds on the drum set. And today we're talking about this very unique way of definitely getting some different sounds other than the traditional. I believe people stray away from the brushes because they're connected to a certain maybe thinking of jazz, which really is an ignorant assumption that this is lame or doesn't have a place anymore in music. Actually, brushes have a great place in music, and I think it's really cool because you can just get sometimes an even fatter, more tonal, vintage sound using brushes. You can play a rock groove with that, you know. Obviously, you can get a cool jazz vibe. But you know, with the jazz stuff, I think that it's really effective to use the brushes as a ballad technique. Eyes, sweet, conventional stroke, palm up, trill. There's 100 different ways you could permutate that for yourself and apply it to different things. So please be my guest. Feel free to write me at ecussionist@gmail.com. That's ECUSSION@gmail.com. Excuse me, ECUSSIONIST@gmail.com. Ecussionist@gmail. I'm here every single Wednesday at 4 p.m. But today we're on our last day of the trimester, so thanks for being here with me for 12 lessons and NGO Radio Terra. These are free lessons for all ages and all levels. Thank you to Roland Corporation, to Tamburo Drums, Proel Corporation, Sun House, and all of our friends at NGO Radio Terra. I'll see you next trimester. Peace and blessings, love and drums.